Greetings, friends. This is Ray Tull here in my basement on a cold winter night, attempting to record a video titled David and Jonathan Disprove the Lunar Sabbath. This brief account of the events of David and Jonathan in 1 Samuel chapters 20 and 21 bears another piece of information that disproves the revolving lunar Sabbath. Some of the revolving lunar Sabbath believers believe the weekly Sabbaths fall on the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th of the lunar month every month. I want to give credit and thanks to my good friend and sister in the faith, Sarah Davis, for bringing this information to me at the Feast of Tabernacles last year. So please turn in your Bible to 1 Samuel chapter 20 and let's get started. Let's pick it up here in verse 5, chapter 20. And David said to Jonathan, "Behold, tomorrow is the new moon." And here I want to pause. Most translations have this translated as new moon. But the phrase new moon in verses 5, verse 18, and verse 24 here is actually translated from the Hebrew word Hodesh, C-H-O-D-E-S-H, which is the Strong's number 2320, which goes back to the root word Hadash, which is Strong's number 2318. And this root word means to be new, to rebuild, renew, or renewal, and should be translated renewal, or by implication new month. I'll get into the topic of the Hodesh and the new moon in a later video. As far as this discussion is concerned, it doesn't matter what you call it because it doesn't change the timeline of the story in relation to the days of the month or week. So getting back here, this verse 5 here, it should read, "Behold, tomorrow is the new month, and I should not fail to sit at table with the king, but let me go so that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, David earnestly asked me that he might run to his city Bethlehem, for there is a yearly sacrifice or yearly feast there for all the family." And then in verse 18, "And Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new month, and you shall be missed, because your seat will be empty." Remember, David is going to hide in the field for 3 days, beginning on the first day of the month. Notice that David's family is already is having a yearly sacrifice or feast on this first day of the month. I will also cover this yearly sacrifice or feast in another video. Now, in verse 24, "And David hid himself in the field, and when the new month had come, the king sat down by the food to eat." So this right here is bringing us to the first day of the month, or as some people refer to as the new moon day. Then jumping down to verse 27, "And it happened on the next day, the second day of the month, David's place was empty, and Saul said to his son Jonathan, Why does the son of Jesse not come to the meal, neither yesterday nor today?" Then pick it up in verse 34, "And Jonathan rose from the table in fierce anger, and did not eat food on the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had put him to shame." And what had taken place there is Jonathan had reiterated to his father Saul that David needed to go to Bethlehem to keep a yearly sacrifice or feast, and Saul was very angry, and he slandered Jonathan's mother and threw a javelin at Jonathan. So that's the reason why Jonathan here in verse 34 was angered and did not eat any food on that day, which was the second day of the month here. Then in verse 35, and it happened in the morning, we have a new day here, another setting, that Jonathan went out into the field at the appointed time with David, and a little lad was with him. And this is where David and Jonathan made an agreement the day before the first day of the month, that David would hide in the field until the third day, and then Jonathan would come out and shoot the arrows, and if he shot an arrow and it went past the target, way past the target, then that would be a sign or a signal to David that Saul, Jonathan's father, was wanting to kill him, and he needed to flee. And so then the verse 42, the last verse in this 20th chapter here, as Jonathan and David came together, and they embraced and wept and made a compact or a covenant with each other. And here in verse 42 it says, Yahweh shall be between me and you, and between my seed and your seed forever. And then David rose and left and went to Nob, and Jonathan went into the city. And this was the third day of the month, and it was the third day that Jonathan hid in the field. Now we come to the next chapter of Samuel, chapter 21, and verse 1 here is when David came to Nob here, and he came to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said to him, Why are you alone, and no man with you? And David said to Ahimelech the priest, The king has commanded me a business, and has said to me, Let no man know anything of the business about which I send you, and what I have sent you, and I have sent servants to such and such a place. So this is the reason he gave the priest the reason why he didn't have a lot of men with him, although he did have some companions that must have been hiding at the time that Ahimelech came out and greeted him. Then, of course, David and his companions were famished and really hungry, especially from being in hiding there for 3 days. And so in verse 3 here, David asked, he said, what do you have on hand, and what do you have in store here? Can you give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand here, or what is there to be found? And the priest then answers David and said, There is no common bread under my hand or on hand here, but there is holy bread or showbread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And of course they had kept themselves from women, naturally, because they had been in hiding here for 3 days and hadn't seen any women, and was ceremonially clean. And now verse 5, And David answered the priest and said to him, Truly women have been kept from us for about 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and in a way the holy bread is common. Also surely today it is sanctified in the vessels. And this phrase here in this translation, about 3 days since I came out, in the Green's Hebrew interlinear of the Hebrew, Greek, English, I made a photo here of this page that translates this 5th verse, and it makes it more clear here that David, that yesterday was the third day that David hid in the field, and this was the next day after that, as it says here in Green's interlinear. And David answered the priest and said to him, Surely a woman has been kept from us as yesterday, and or was the 3rd day since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy. And then verse 6, And the priest gave him holy bread or showbread, for there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, or holy bread, or the showbread. that was taken from before Yahweh in order to put hot bread in on the day when it was taken away. Now, when was the showbread replaced? In 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 32, it says, "And others of the sons of the Kohathites, which were a tribe or family of the Levites, from among their brothers, were over the bread of the bread of arrangement," which is same as the bread of preparation, or the showbread, to prepare Sabbath by Sabbath. And then in Leviticus 24 and verse 8, it says, "Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before Yahweh forever, for the sons of Israel by an everlasting covenant." Then we come to the gospel account here in Mark chapter 2 of the event that David ate the showbread. Here it says, "And it happened that when he went through the grain fields on the Sabbath day," now this is Yeshua and the disciples, "and as they walked, his disciples began to pluck the ears of grain. And the Pharisees said to him, Behold, why do they do that which is not lawful on the Sabbath day? And he said to them," now this is Yeshua's own words here, "Have you never read what David did when he had need and was hungry, he and those with him? How he went into the house of Elohim in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the showbread, which is not lawful to eat except for the priest, and also gave to them with him." And this account here of the eating of the showbread is also reiterated in Matthew chapter 12 and chapter, well, I don't have it down here. It's actually chapter 6 in Luke. Now the last slide of this presentation here is a layout that I've got here with columns, a chart, and it's a vertical columns here. I've got 5 vertical columns, and at the top of this chart here I say what day of the month or week is it. So the first column over here to the left, day before the Hodesh, or the day before the new month, and it's the 3rd day of the week, which we call Tuesday. And the next day is the 1st day of the month, which is the 4th day of the week, which we call Wednesday. And of course you can see the scriptures that relate to these different days underneath here. And then the next column is the 2nd day of the month, the 5th day of the week, which is our what we call Thursday. And then the 3rd day of the month, which is the 6th day of the week, is the day we call Friday. And then the 4th day of the month, which is the 7th day of the week, which is the weekly Shabbat or Sabbath, is the day here in verse 6 that the priest gave David the holy bread or showbread to eat. So if you go back and read chapter 20 and the first 6 verses of chapter 21 and look at the timeline of every time it changes settings from one day to the next, you'll see that it comes out that David hid in the field for 3 days, starting on the 1st day of the month, which was the 4th day of the week, because on the Sabbath, which was the 4th day of the month and the 7th day of the week, was the day he ate the showbread, and he says that it's translated that yesterday was the 3rd day since I came out. So I think this clearly disproves the doctrine of the revolving lunar Sabbath, because they believe that every lunar month, the Sabbaths have to fall on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th of each lunar month. So I hope this teaching has been helpful and beneficial, and I'm signing off now, and blessings to all. Thank you.